Greetings from India. This is Nirbhay Chauhan from Eklavya self-learning tutorials. But in this third tutorial, we'll be discussing the very first workbench of this software, that is the Arc workbench. In the previous two tutorials, we have discussed the downloading and the installation process and the basic interface of this software. So now without wasting any time, let's just start with the Arc workbench. So you can just shift to the new file either from this option like create a new file or empty document, or from here. So now we have this empty document here, the new file. So now go to the Arc workbench. So here you see certain set of tools like the various view options, the front, top, axometric view, all those things. And here you have the working plane window like top, front. You can set the XY top. Now if you want to change this grid spacing or number of grids, what you can do is either you can change it from here only, like if you want to change the grid spacing and the line numbers. Either what you can do else is go to the edit and the preferences. Then here in this draft option, here you have grid and snapping dialog box, and here you can change the grid spacing and the grid size. Like I have set the grid spacing of 1000 mm and the grid size is of 100 lines. So you can just change that as per your requirement. So now here you have certain tools, if you see, like the wall options, structure, rebarring, floor, building, site, window, roof, sections, grid lines, and several others. And here you have the draft tools, which are also available in the draft workbench. Here you have other draft tools, like you can change the scale, rotation, and here you have the snapping tools. If you just drag them here, you can just on or off your grid. Then you have certain other constraints which I'll be discussing when we're modeling. So very first thing, let's model anything. If you just want to create a wall, so just simply click on this option. So you see here you have a new dialog box where it's asking you for the global placement for the initial point of the wall. Either you can use the GUI by simply clicking here, or you can just enter your requirements points. Then you have the length of the wall, the width, the height, and the alignment. Either you want it for the left, right, center, or whatever you want. So you see it is snapping like the grid points. So for that we have just selected this option, the grid. If you off it, it will not pan the grid intersections. So better if we just select this option. So let's start from this point. So now let's select the continue option also. So now we have selected just one wall. To just have a new second wall also, click on this option. Now it's just selecting the midpoint of this wall and the endpoints. So for that you can just select these options, the endpoint and the midpoint. So now just select this midpoint and just simply drag this wall up to here. So now this wall is constructed. So you see we have this certain type of gaps here. So now just close this window. So you see we have such type of gaps. Either you can just change your modeling technique, or what the technique basically I prefer is the very simple technique. If you see, these wall options are the traces of the draft tools. If you just see it clearly, this is a line, the draft line, from which this wall is further constructed. So you can just go in the reverse way, like shift to the top view. What you can do is you have this set of draft tool, like create a 2-point line, creates a multi-point draft wire, the arcs, rectangle. So if you see, if you want to construct 4 walls room, what you will basically do is, let's create a rectangle, select this rectangle option. Now just select it, mark it anywhere on the grid points. Sorry. So now you see you have this rectangle here, but this is a filled type of rectangle. What you do is just simply select this rectangle, and this data and properties, here's the option make face, just make it false. So now this is a empty rectangle. If you want to construct the walls over this rectangle, the very simplest technique is just simply click on this draft rectangle and click on this wall option. Now this wall is constructed. Now to move in the 3D like this and the span in this 3D interface, we have set a touchpad interface. Make sure your navigation style is touchpad. Now to move in 3D, just hold your Alt key of keyboard and just drag your mouse. Now you can just move in 3D. And to pan, hold the shift key and move your mouse. So that's very easy. Now you can see your wall is constructed in a very easy and smooth way. So to see the orientation of this wall, just click on it. If you see, this is lined in center like this rectangle is. If you see the bottom, the rectangle is in the center of this wall thickness and the wall is constructed around that. So if you just simply change this alignment, now this is a tree view. We have the wall and wall is the like this rectangle is the parent of this wall. So now just change the alignment in the data properties. Let's change it to left and click enter. Now you see the draft is the wall is constructed in the left direction of this line. If you just change it to right, now like this is a very simple thing. So right now we'll just prefer the center only, center alignment, and let's hide this rectangle. So see, you have constructed the wall. Now the second thing, here you have the structural objects like the column, beam, slabs. You can construct by using this. Before that, let's discuss one more thing. Here if you click on the wall, if you see the data properties, you have certain things like the height. Let's change the height to 6000 mm. So you see, you can just see the changes here. Then you have the role. You can give the role to this wall like the wall. These are basically beneficial when you are just exporting this file into IFC. Then you have the thickness of this wall, like we can just change it to 500. So you see you got changes there. Okay, you can also just change the placement of this wall, like in the base option is placement options. You have this position, so you can change this position of this wall, like let it be 2000. So it is shifted in that direction. Similar in the Y. So it's very easy to just move around using this uh, entry technique. So now the second thing you can see is there the creates a structure object. So you can just simply use the same technique like by making the draft tools and then making the structure. Or you can just simply put them using a GUI. So you simply click on this option. So now this will ask about you again the global axis points where you want to just locate your structure. Then you have here categories. You can use the precast concrete and other such preset members. Then there are other types of those options, like you set the preset concrete, then it will ask you the I-beam, then you have the pillars, like all those things that are required in the construction phases. So you see all those things. But right now we are as such not in that much interested in these things. So we'll not be using any of the category of preset. We just simply be giving the length, width and height parameters. Like let us give the length of the structure be around 200. Then let's give the width of 150 and give it the height of 3000. Now if you just move around in the GUI, you can see you have the structure shadow. Now you can just place here like this. So if you just move around the 3D by holding your Alt key, you can see a structure is created here like a column. You can also give it the role like by setting the structure. Then you have option here, the role. Like its column here, you can give any of the role, beam, wall, slab, anything you like. Similarly, you have the rebarring option. There can be a new tutorial on that. There's already a tutorial existing on my channel and how you can create the rebarring. Then you can create the floor objects, like you want this wall and this structure column on a singular floor. So you can select this wall and structure from the tree view, and you can just simply click on this floor object. Now all those things are included in this floor object. If you just will hide this floor, so what will happen? So all those objects will be shown or hide by using the space key. Just move over the mouse, this floor key, click on that and just press the space key. So it's you can hide it or unhide it. Basically this operation is beneficial when you want to work on several floors. Basically I have made a tutorial on this type of modeling. This is basically called the BIM modeling. So there is a full course on the BIM modeling on my channel. You can just go through that. So we are discussing all the basic things in this. You can just make the building objects from this, then you can make the site object. So that's very basic things. So right now we are not interested in all those things. Sorry. So now you can see we have this create a window object. You can create the doors also. So to do that, the basic thing that you need to take care of that is make sure the working plane is set to the face along which you want your windows and door objects. Like we want the window to be along this. Simply click on this face and set the working plane on this by clicking on this option. So the working plane is parallel to this wall, this face of wall. So now you can just click on this window option. Now here you have certain presets of the windows like this one. Then you have the doors preset. So let's create this fixed window option and you can just set the sill height. Let it be 300 mm. Then you can just set the width of this window. Then you can set the height and the other parameters you can see in the sketch here, H1, H2, W1, W2. So we will not be changing any of the several parameters. We can change the width of this window, let it be 2500 and the height be 1500. So you see we got changes here. Now just simply we can just place it over this wall by simply clicking it here. So you see it's very easy to place your windows. Similarly you can place your doors and other types of windows. Then you have certain other operations like create roofs, grids, sections, space, stairs. So these are all types of things you can just understand easily by experimenting more. So this was a very basic interface. So now along the arc, let's discuss about the draft tools also. You can just simply use them from here to, or you can just shift to the draft workbench. So basically this is type of the 2D drawing styles. You can just draw your lines. Let's add the working plane XY. So if you see the top view, let's create a line by simply clicking it here. So you can just construct a line by this, then a polyline, the multi-wire line. Okay, then circle, then arches, as per your requirement. There's nothing much deep like that. Then you can add your text. Then you can add your shape strings. The basic difference between text and shape string is like text can be in 2D form only. You cannot use that for the extrude purposes, but shape string can be used easily. Then you have this move tools, like you want to move this arc, simply click on this and select this move option. Now select any of the edges. So there's another endpoint, so you can just move it. To rotate anything, simply select any of your object or line, click on this tool rotate option, select the edge, select the second point and the degree to rotate. So you can rotate it. Then you can just change the scale, like you want to just change the scale of this circle, click on this circle. Then you have the scale option here, just simply click, you see you can change the scale. Then you have the trim X option, like you want to just move in the more way, like you can just extrusion. Basically it is needed for the extrusion options. So then you have the options to just make the upgrade the options, like create the faces for the closed loops, to downgrade to create a more Then you can copy the particular things. There are certain other tools, like you can just make the sketch or this projection. Like you select this wall. If you want this wall in 2D projection, you simply click on this option. This will create a 2D shape of the selected objects. If you click on this option, you see if you hide this wall, it has created a 2D projection of that object. You can also change its parameters, like you can change its axis and the projection style. Like you want the projection in the z-axis, like 1, let others be 0. So you see, we got the 2D projection of that wall. Then you can make the clones. Then you can make set this on the drawing sheets. You can make the mirrors. So all those things you can just learn by experimenting. So that's all for this workbench or can draft tools. Well, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next tutorials. This is Nirbhay Chauhan from Eklavya self-learning tutorial.